I'm Andy Jacques Mains. I'm an engineer for Ibis. I designed the Ibis Oso you see here. Today we'll discuss how to remove the shock from the bike. To remove and install the shock, you need Antiseize, Loctite 243, 5, 6, and 8 millimeter Allen wrenches, a torque wrench with 5, 6, and 8 millimeter heads, and a tri-tool helps too. Your first step will be to remove the rear wheel. For clarity's sake, we'll remove the chain and the front wheel as well, but the only necessary thing is to remove the rear wheel. Our next step is to remove the upper link bolts from the rear triangle, here and on the other side, with an 8 millimeter Allen wrench. So once you remove the bolts, drop the rear triangle away to expose the upper link. When you have the rear triangle drop down from the upper link, now is a great time to be able to replace the rear derailleur housing, the rear brake line, or try to route a new speed sensor cable. This gives us access to the wires passing between the front and rear triangles. Then we're gonna take off the shock. To start with, loosen the two forward shock mount bolts with a 6 millimeter Allen wrench. Next, we'll loosen and remove the rear shock mount shaft and bolt with two 5 millimeter Allen wrenches. Take the bolt all the way out and take the washer out as well. Use your 5 millimeter Allen wrench to push the shaft out from the other side. So we remove the two forward shock bolts, leave the reducers in the frame. With all the bolts removed, rotate the upper link out of the way and carefully remove the shock from the frame. Our shocks use a reducer for the hard mount to the upper link. If you're sending the shock into Fox, you'll need to remove these before you send it in. There are indents inside the reducers to help remove them with a punch. To prep the shock for installation, first you have to make sure that the reducers are installed in the rear end. The air valve needs to be on the right side of the shock. We want to use Loctite 243 on the female threads of the trunnion mount of the shock. This is a titanium bolt and shaft, and so you need to use Antiseize on the shafts as well as on the threads of the mating bolt. Rotate that upper link into place and pass the shaft through the shock. Next, we'll install the forward shock mount bolts. 6 millimeter Allen wrench. Just snug it down for now. Next, we'll install the bolt and washer into the rear shock mount shaft. 5 millimeter Allen wrench. Just snug it down for now. Torque all the shock mounting bolts to spec, 12 Newton meters in the front, 10 Newton meters in the back. To tighten the rear shaft, use a 5 millimeter Allen wrench to hold the shaft steady and tighten to 10 Newton meters. Once the shock's back in place, raise the rear triangle, align the upper link with the rear bearings, and snug down these two bolts. With an 8 millimeter wrench, torque these bolts to 20 Newton meters. For more information about the Ibis Oso or any of Ibis cycles, visit ibiscycles.com.